Hey y'all, how's it going? Happy Friday. Sorry for the late start, just had to get some stuff set up on my end. Hope you're having a good Friday. All right, so what we're gonna do today, I don't know, it's a good question, I don't really know. So, hoping anybody that's in the chat right now, I'm thinking of doing two things. So, last week we we were working on some design stuff. And there's one last thing we need to do to bring all of these design assets in line with one another. And just let me know if the music is too loud. Yeah, so we're trying to bring these things in line just for like overall branding and just a continuous look throughout my social media presence, my website itself, Twitter, whatnot. So we've done some OBS overlays, which you're seeing right now. We've done some work on also this new standby card you saw when the stream started. And we also have this new open graph image that I use for my blog posts so that when I post them on Twitter, they populate with this image. And so that's all sort of in line. The only thing that's not in line right now is my website. So there's work to do here, but there's also work to be done on my NPM package, which is probably, as of right now, probably does not work because the Twitch API changed. So it's called React Livestream. And what this does is, like it says, it embeds a live stream into your app when you go live. So we built that package on previous streams. However, let's actually go to the GitHub repo here, and I can sort of give you the TLDR, and then we can see what we want to do. So essentially, it's just one component that I created, and based on which platform you're using, which that comes in as a prop here into the component, and then we determine like if we're going to get Twitch data, if we're going to get Mixer data, if we're going to get YouTube data, right? However, the Twitch API has changed, so you now can no longer call from a client to get, or you can't make a call to their API from a client. You need to use OAuth and call server to server. So for our purposes, that would mean we would want to do something like implement a Netlify function, which we started working on, I think like 2-3 weeks ago. And the idea there would be essentially we would have to update the package, and the package would essentially hit this new serverless function. The function would handle the authentication and the call to the API, and then just return to us the data. So for all the component cares about, it would be like make a request, get data back. What goes on behind the scenes doesn't matter in terms of the component. So I have done a little bit of work off stream, and let's pull up. I use Insomnia, which is like a alternative to Postman. It's pretty much just the same things. So API user, is this where we're getting the token back? Yes, it is. So a new application for designing APIs. Oh, API designer. That's pretty cool. API user. So this is this Helix endpoint here, and maybe I need to blow this up. Let's see. Is there a zoom? Yeah, there is. Yeah. Does that look better? Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah. So this endpoint here, the Helix endpoint or API, as they call it now on Twitch, I believe is the new one. And I think the old one is what's referred to as Kraken. And so, yeah, this Mixer broadcast is an old one. I don't need this. I'm not on Mixer anymore, as you can see, because you're watching me on Twitch. And so this is, I think this is the call. I set up there's two calls we need to make. First, we need to make this call. And we need to use some secrets here. So I'm going to have to move some stuff off screen when we get to that. And then there's this other call, which we're actually going to call, we basically want to get information about the current stream for a user. So let's open our repo, first of all. So go into our code directory. And we're going to open the repo, and we'll open this in VS Code. Okay. And so one of the things we need to do is we actually need to switch to our different branch. And I think it must have been this one, setup functions. And these, well, you might notice that I'm using like a shorthand for the Git command line stuff, and that's because I have some aliases set up, and if you're interested, let me know, and I'm happy to show you my ZSH profile. And like I do on every stream, I forgot to get to this because I was a little late, but sipping on a cocktail. This is the Few Bourbon from Philadelphia Distilling here in Philadelphia. They make the Blue Coat gin that I love so much, and all of the liquor stores are closed here in Pennsylvania due to the pandemic since they're state-run. So the only way to get liquor these days is to order it directly from the distillery, which is sort of cool. So cheers, happy Friday. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Okay. All right, so we opened this already. And let me see, what have we done here before? Let's look back at our commits. So last time we added a netlify toml file, which just defines where our functions are, what our build command is, all the things that netlify is gonna need to know when we deploy, since that's where my site is hosted. And then we created a functions directory, and this functions directory has now just one file in it, Twitch API. And then the next commit, we also added, let's see. Oh, we actually started defining the function, and this wasn't working, so that's why we haven't finished this off. So I'm hoping today we can get it working. Now that I think I have a little bit better of an idea what I need to do. Okay, cool. So this is the right branch, and if you're wondering, this is a command line tool called Take. And as you can see, it sort of like gives you your commits, but you can also examine each commit and look at the diff and then scroll through. Pretty cool. It also gives you a visualization here in terms of branching, which I really love. It's a nice, it's almost like it's a mix between a CLI and a GUI, or a CLI's version of a GUI. And then the equivalent to that would be git log, which just shows you log information. Or you could use git reflog, which is even more detailed. It gives you SHAs, it gives you the head in case you need to rebase or reset. And then it gives you references like where different branches are, where the origin is, so that's our upstream. So, useful stuff, useful Git stuff. Okay, so let's check out this function. And so yeah, this is the function. So we have two functions here. This function, the get Twitch data, we're going to ignore that for right now because we don't do that until we actually get a token. And right now that's the first step. So we're just going to let's see. So we have a handler function and we're making a call. We're getting the JSON, or we're getting the response, turning it into JSON, and then we're taking the JSON and we're trying to get the access token off of it. So we're going to comment this out, and this dot then we're also going to comment out because that is directly related. And then this catch will return any errors. So let's actually move this out of the inline. We'll just do dot catch and we'll just leave this down here for now. And then we'll deal with that later when we actually go through implementing this. And so let's open up Insomnia again. Because I got this, as you can see, I got this working the other day off stream, which is pretty cool because the docs aren't confusing. There's just a lot of them. So this is going to be the endpoint that we want to hit. So let's see, Twitch API, is that what we have here? ID, Twitch, TV, auth token. Yes. Okay. So that's what we want to do. And so if we look here, I'm going to move this off screen so I can look at my params because I need to see what I pass for authentication. So it looks like all I did here was pass the client ID. Okay. So it looks like I don't need to pass the secrets. Let's see. Let me try it again. Yeah, so that request is working off the screen. You can't see it just because I don't want to expose any of these keys. Query, grant type. Okay. So I think the problem here, let me double check this. So in Insomnia, it looks like I'm doing the same thing with the string. I'm taking, essentially what we're doing is, and I'll just mock this out so it's a little bit easier to see. We're essentially doing this, and then down here, we're just interpolating 3 query parameters. Client ID, client secret, and grant type. So this is essentially the string that we're sending, and these environment variables will get swapped out. And so I think the only difference here is that we also passed the client ID as a header, which we're not doing here currently. So let's try that. I believe it's client ID. And then we're going to want to do the same thing, which is, it'll be a string. Actually, I think we can do process.environment.gatsby Twitch client ID. I think that should work. Okay. And so we'll go back to the command line because I've been using a tool called Netlify Dev to test my functions locally. So let's go Netlify Dev CLI. So the idea here is it's the entire Netlify platform on your laptop, like it says. And so this means that you can like simulate building and deploying and invoking functions and stuff like that before actually sending it off to Netlify's servers, which is cool. Very cool. Let's see, where are the docs? Docs. Install it. Get started in the docs. Yeah, so we want to... We want to invoke some functions. Yeah, here we go. Netlify functions invoke. So we called this the Twitch API function, and we can see that by, let's see, list al functions. So inside of our functions directory, we just have this. So if we do Netlify functions invoke Twitch API, sure. What do I have going on here? Error refused. Okay. Oh, I think there's a way. I think you have to, there's a local Netlify functions invoke name. Wonder what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, so Derek, what I'm thinking is that basically every time this function gets called, the function will include refreshing the token. And also, from what I was reading in the docs, and this is where the area that I'm not 100% sure on, I think that I'm using an app token. So that's supposed to last for up to 60 days. And the thing that sort of stinks here is that anybody that's using the package is actually going to need to deploy their own function. So I'm sort of just doing a proof of concept. Netlify. Do I need to run Netlify? I think I need to run Netlify dev, right? Is that what it is? Yeah. It's been a while since I used the tool. So I think... Hey, what's up, Ryan Warner? Welcome to the stream. Alright, so I think that's why it wasn't working. Twitch API. Oh yeah, okay. Probably should go into my project, right? Lambda response was undefined. Yeah. Very strange. So I'm getting a 403, which is what was happening last week. So it's invoking the function. This is yelling just because we're not returning anything, and that's okay for now. We will. Token response. So it's getting nothing back. Let me double check one thing. I'm gonna move this off the screen. I just need to double check my environment variables here. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so I'm gonna kill Netlify dev. I'm gonna run it again. I'm actually gonna run this. We'll do split horizontally. We'll run Netlify dev down here since we don't need that as much. Okay, cool. So it is picking up on our environment variables. That's good. That's exactly what we want. Let's clear this out. Hey, Angel. Thanks. Yeah, I've been working on this, my rebranding, sort of getting everything in line. The one thing that's still left to do is the website, but I want to get this to work, and then I'll update the site. So, yeah, I hope you all are having a good Friday. Like I said earlier, cheers to you. And let me know how the music levels are, my mic, you know. Also, if I'm doing anything that you have a question about, feel free to drop it in the chat. Happy to answer it. Yo, we got it back. Okay, cool. So it looks like we got a token. And so now this then is this token then becomes what we use to make the API call to actually get the data that we're looking for in the first place. Okay. So we know that we have that working. And so this is how you call for like, so you're looking for stream information about a specific user, and you can do user ID or user login is like username. Hey, what's up, Chris? Welcome to the stream. Oh, Angel, yeah, understandable. You don't want to mix the two if they're not friendly. You know what I mean? My wife and I have been on a no drinking except on the weekends rule lately. So that's part of the reason now why the stream I'm always drinking a cocktail, because it's the first time during the week where it's like, okay. All right, so now that we got this token back, let's copy it, paste it into Postman. Where is it? I believe we need to do a bearer token or basic. Oh yeah, there it is. Authorization. So let's just paste in our new key and make this request. And so now we get data back about me, since that's the user login we're using. So this is what the package needs to function with Twitch. Previously, we could just make that call from the client. Now we're going to have to implement this functionality. Well, I'm not like super pumped about that. I'm trying to and open to suggestions regarding how to make an NPM package like mine that requires a serverless function. Like, I don't know if there's a better way to do it than to literally put Markdown with a code snippet and say, hey, here's instructions how to deploy this piece of infrastructure to Netlify. But that sort of like increases the learning curve, the difficulty curve. If there was a way that I could wholesale deploy it, I mean, like, I could create a service for everybody to use, but then I would need to incur the bill for whatever provider we're using. So there's not like really that great of a solution here, I don't think. Oh yeah, Derek, could you drop a link in the chat? I'm not familiar with that. That sounds like it could be something cool. I know serverless framework has something called components, which I'm not quite sure if it's the same thing, but since I'm personally going to deploy this function, they let you auto add serverless functions. Oh. So can you publish those as NPM packages? Like, could my package depend on another one that I create that's just like the serverless component? So Netlify build plugin. Ooh, supercharge your builds. Start using plugins. Oh, so this would be, yeah, but people have to edit that. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, so like I would publish it sort of like you do with like a Gatsby theme, and then somebody just pulls it down and uses it in their project. So they would still need to configure like the functions file and the Netlify toml, but the actual code for that function could come from one of these plugins. That's really cool. I'm going to bookmark this. Thank you, Derek. That's a very good tip. Because I've been trying to figure out like how to, like, publishing packages is like a new thing for me. Serverless is stuff I played around with before, but you know, still wrapping my head around how to bring all these disparate systems sort of together. So, okay, cool. That's cool. That's very cool. So now that we know this works and we're getting a token, we want to, let's go back to our, so it looks like the access token field on our response object is what's going to be, or what we're using. So here I'm saying, hey, we have a token. It's the JSON access token. And then let's return. And so we're going to actually, we don't actually need to do the return right now. Let's just prove this out. So const Twitch data, and we'll switch this out. I just want to do this so we can incrementally go through piece by piece instead of just having everything fail Okay, so this is just going to say, hey, let's, and then we'll log this out, Twitch data. And so this Twitch data function is just going to call the Twitch endpoint. And so we don't need this. That was me trying to debug. And then this function is going to need to use the username. So in my case, I'm just going to hard code it, but we can, like Derek's saying, like if we're going to publish this as a plugin for people to use, we're going to want them to be able to pass these pieces of information in. So maybe I'd extract your API code and response as a separate package. Yeah, that's what it sounds like, right? So like the React component itself would be one NPM package. But then if you're using Twitch, you would need to use the other package as well to create the infrastructure to handle the authentication and API calls, whereas Mixer and YouTube, we don't need to do that, or at least not right now. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, so now we're gonna call this get Twitch data function. We're passing it the token, and we're just gonna call this endpoint. We're gonna send a get request, and we're gonna use our authorization bearer token. I don't think we need this client ID. And we're gonna return this back to our call down here and assign it to Twitch data and then log it out. So ideally, if we do this again, so it's returning us a promise. That's good. So I'm just not handling the async stuff properly. The Twitch API stuff is very frustrating since the data you get is public. I know. I actually considered trying to do something else, like, I don't know, like creating some sort of like calling, like making a call and getting the HTML document and then trying to inspect it for something that signifies yes, they're live, like some really like hacky way, which honestly, I'm not too psyched on this API change. Like I'm not sure why they're locking it down. Like some things are just public. Like if somebody's online, you can just go to the URL. Like, I mean, I guess they don't want people like hammering the server with unauthenticated requests or something like that. So I think this needs to be an async function, and that it actually needs to await the resolution of this promise. So fetch is returning a promise. We're taking the response, we're parsing it into JSON, and then we're taking the JSON and returning it back. If we were assigning it to a variable, it would be stored there. However, instead, we're just directly returning it back to where we called down below. But this function is happening asynchronously. So I think we need to await it. Let's see. The async function stuff, that's always what gets me. So let's see. Nope. Maybe it's not, maybe this doesn't need to be async. Maybe it's in the actual call. So here we have a function. And so this, maybe if we make this an asynchronous function and we await the response here, maybe that works. Okay, cool. So we got a request or a response. It's a failure, but I think it's because I took out that client ID, which it seems like maybe we do need that in this call. So what did I have? Let's check out our Git status. So we had this, which is what I need. And let's add that back. Let's run this again. Must provide a valid client ID or auth token. See, we're generating a new token every time, which is what we want. Then we're passing an authorization header, which is also what we want. User login, authorization bearer. See here, we're not sending in the client ID, so I'm not sure why it's asking for that. But we're taking the token here. And you know what, for debugging purposes, I mean, we can add this back, I guess, just to make sure it's using the right token, which I'm pretty sure it is. Let's comment this out. Quit that. So it's using the right token, that's cool. So we don't need to worry about that. It must provide a valid or OAuth token. Well, I am providing the auth. Let's check the docs here, but I'm doing it in Postman, so I would imagine that's how it works. I saved some of this stuff in Pocket because I knew I wasn't going to be able to find it again. So let's look. Let's open that. Let's open that. And let's open that. So yeah, so we send a request with an authorization header that has a bearer and then the access token. So OAuth token is for the old API. So that's not what we're trying to do here. Get streams. Again, here. So here we're passing a client ID, but not a token. Don't want markers. Create stream. Where is it? Yeah, optional query parameters. So we're using not mod events. Where'd it go? Get streams. Yeah. Okay. So you can pass a user login, which is the login name. So that's your username. Okay, and these examples are passing in a client ID. And there was one more thing I think I had in Pocket. Hey Sydney, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Today we're working on implementing a serverless function to authenticate and call the Twitch API because they changed their API recently, and the live stream React component package that I had created now will not work with Twitch. It'll work with YouTube and Mixer, but because of this change, we need to actually add some infrastructure here. So we're trying to create a proof of concept, and then from there, we're actually going to build something that maybe other people can use as well. Let's get out of here. That's why, because I opened it there. OAuth, okay. You got it. Sample request, so, yep, we already did that. We already have a token. Okay. Let's go back to the reference. Here they're just using a client ID, so I mean we could try that if we want. Let's see, but then it sort of like defeats the purpose of the initial call to authenticate and get our access token. So I can't imagine that this is what's going to do it, but I would imagine this is going to fail. But let's prove it out. Yeah, I figured. All right. Yeah, so that's totally not right. And I'm wondering if this is a question with their documentation being wrong. let's see. Is there anything else we can find in terms of new Twitch API? Yeah, see, this is the as of April 30th, all Helix endpoints require OAuth and matching client IDs. Yeah, Angel, Sydney runs Code Corgi, which is like an online community and mentorship organization. And last summer, I did like a thing on React and Redux, and so it was sort of like office hours in case anybody had any questions about the assignments that Sydney's curriculum had them going through, sort of like ramping up. All right. Yeah, see, this is just a client ID, okay, as a header, but where they definitely have to be passing the token, because if you don't have a token, you can't authenticate and you can't get data. Okay, this is the problem we had last week. At least we're a little bit further. We're actually getting a token now, so that's a good sign. That means, Angel, no, it's not. That's the Party Corgi network. Different logos too, both with cute corgis, but okay. So why is it? I wonder if it's because this is outside of the context. We're not using the context here. But I wonder if it's because it's outside of the handler function, does it not have access to my environment variables? Maybe? If process.environment.gatsby client ID equals undefined or it equals null, so then we don't have to look at it. I don't have to log it out and hide it from y'all. We can actually prove this out together. Console.error. Let's check it out. Let's see what happens. Ooh, I think the music stopped. So it's not null because we don't get a log here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. I accidentally paused the music. Yeah, okay, Derek. Okay, cool. I figured it did. I just wanted to, I'm just like going through each, just eliminating variables here as to what's going wrong. So let's double check in Insomnia. API Twitch streams, right? That's what we're calling. Twitch API, yes, that's right. And we're calling with user login as our param. Do I have maybe in fetch, there's a way to pass params? JavaScript fetch. I don't know if you can pass them in. I think I looked at this last time and I couldn't find a way to do it. Oh, is this somebody just making their own method? Okay, whatever. That's fine. Whoops. And that's what happens when you use hotkeys. You close everything. Oh, come on, Firefox. Oh, no. Sorry about that. This is going really well. Let's pull this over here. Let's see, YouTube. Sorry, folks. Just 1 second. I'm just turning the music back on because I accidentally quit my browser, which you know, super pro move here. I think we were doing this. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Hey, what's up, Joseph? How's it going? Yeah, Angel. It is not the cocktails. I wish I could blame them. So I'm gonna go back into Pocket, or I'm just gonna go to the Twitch API docs, whatever. Twitch.tv. Not found. Yeah, that's of course not. So Joseph, we're revisiting this Twitch API authentication serverless function that I need to implement for my live stream package. And we actually have a token coming back now, but for some reason when we make a call with that token, we're getting an unauthorized. So let's see why that is. Okay. So this is what we're doing. And we are using the Helix endpoint. Using our previously authenticated user. This also works for app access tokens to revoke. Well, these are I don't want to revoke it. That's the thing. So if I'm requesting a new token every time, I like how they have an example of how to revoke, but not necessarily create a token. That's the wrong one. And that's the right one. So, get rid of this. App access token. Yeah, so Derek, this is where I was talking about. I'm trying to get an app access token, which I believe is what I'm doing. I'm not too familiar with like the implicit code versus authorization versus client credentials. Yeah, so app access tokens are only for server to server. The grant request below requires the client secret to acquire an app access token. Okay. So that means I need to pass actually my client ID, my client secret. So maybe I'm getting the wrong type of token. So let's actually comment out that call here. Let's revisit this. So we're passing a client ID, a client secret, and a grant type. However, we're not passing this list of scopes, which I don't think we need, but yeah, see, this is optional. And I believe the endpoint that we're accessing is public. Derek, I believe. So this is a client ID, a client secret, and a grant type. I'm passing a grant type of client credentials. So I believe that should be, I have the 3 required: client ID, client secret, and grant type. Yeah, no worries. Scopes is optional. So it looks like the URL or that we're constructing to get the token is correct, we respond with an encoded app access token. So let's see. So that's what we got. Access token expires in type. And then, let's see. Yeah, we use it to make a get call, which I believe is correct. In our example. Yeah, okay. And then these are the scopes. Manage a user object, edit your channel. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. View your broadcasting configuration. I don't want to do that. And I don't want to read the email. So I don't think I need any scopes because it doesn't look like this endpoint requires them. Yeah, it's required scope, none. Required query parameters, none. If you don't send in any query parameters, of course, it's just going to get a list of current streams, but we're looking for a specific one based on the user. And so what's weird here, Derek, is that inside of Insomnia, the call works. I can just call it over and over again. Why it doesn't work in the app is another question. Let's go to Twitch. CM, okay, I knew it. Every time I'm streaming, CM Griffin is streaming as well, which is awesome. But CM Griffin, just to prove that this is still working. Yep, see a new data. So it just has an authorization header. I'm not passing a client ID. Yeah, I'm not passing anything. So why does it work here, but it does not work in the app? Classic question. Yeah, it will. Let's prove that out. So let's just take the latest one. Let's go in here, change it. Yep. Yeah, and we can prove that it actually updated because I'll just get my own information and that's back. Yeah, so it's totally working. The only difference here is I'm passing the client ID, which I don't believe I need to. However, when we make the request without it, I got a 500 error this time. Oh yeah, that's what happened. That's because I got rid of the... Let's uncomment this call, just so we can prove it out. Again, unauthorized. You must provide a valid client ID or OAuth token. Oh, wait a second. I wonder if this needs some sort of... Oh yeah, that's why. That needs to be there. It's this one that should not have it. So same thing. Okay. So if we're getting a 401, let's actually come in here. See if we can get any more information out of this. Error, console.log, error, and then we'll return the error, which I think is just gonna do the same thing. But aha! Yes. Oh, Derek, nice catch. It's always on. It's always. It is a 400 error because it's my fault. 400 codes, your fault. 500 codes, server's fault. Okay, unauthorized. That might be because I took out the client ID. Let's see. But it's weird that Insomnia does not require the client ID, but here it does. Ah, same thing. Oh, because I didn't change it. There we go. Derek, nice catch, man. That's super helpful. Okay, cool. So now this returns to us data that is required by the NPM package to determine whether or not it's going to render anything. So one thing we need to do is this doesn't need to be here. And then what we want to do is we want to bring this back because this is what is actually going to return a value from the function. So we want to put it back here. We want to uncomment it. And then what we can do is we can just return Twitch data. But really we could just do the shorthand here. And that's return await Twitch data, right? So Twitch data we don't need, okay. We don't need the JSON. Oh, well, we can leave the JSON actually. That's the token and stuff. I'm just gonna comment that out for right now. And then what happens is when we return the value, this object we get back from the Twitch API, that will come into this next dot then as Twitch. So we should be able to look at the object that comes in and say, so we have broadcast info. Broadcast info. Oh, is there no status on here? Might be because I'm logging out. Does it not have a status on this endpoint? Weird. Oh, Joseph, just be so happy that you live in a state where stores are still open with liquor. Like here in Pennsylvania, stores are run by the government. So when they shut down the government and told everybody who's not essential to stay at home, that included the people that work at the liquor store. So to get this nice tasty bourbon I'm sipping on, my wife and I had to order it directly from the distillery. And if we want to get beers, we have to go to like a sandwich shop. Yeah, unfortunately we don't have a car, or we would just drive to Delaware because it's like a 30-minute drive and we could just go down there but alas. So actually, I think this whole idea, what I'm doing here with this status thing, I think this is in the wrong place. So that's something we can update. So this would actually go here. And then for right now, what we can do is just like, well, actually, let's leave it commented out altogether because we need to fix this. So in this function, this is where we actually need to look for the response. So we want to return the res.json, but we also want to, we only conditionally want to do that if the status of the response is successful. Yeah, Angel, I mean, Camden's right across the bridge, right? It's like not far. Okay, cool. So we have a status here. And what we were doing is we were actually just taking the straight up data off of it, or turning it into JSON. So, actually, I think what we can do is we always want to turn it into JSON. But down here is where we conditionally want to do stuff. Return JSON. So now we can actually work with it. Okay. And what's cool here is that because we're using this Netlify dev, All of these calls are like, we're invoking the stuff locally. The serverless functions are running in a local server that's running in the background, and they're making live requests. So we're like, this is just like it would work in production. Let's see. Your function response must have a numerical code. Yeah, that's right. So it looks like when we call res.json, it's parsing the body as well. Let's see. What I want to do here is, I think actually we need to go back this way. Yep. So when we were doing this was actually right. So if res.status code equals 200, so if it's a success, we want to return this. Else, think anything else, we want to throw a new error, I think. Yeah, because we want to throw an error so that this catch will catch it. And we want to say, let's enter, so Twitch API call failed with, and then we'll interpolate the status code. So we'll take the res.status code, and then what will happen is when we throw this, the error will actually have that as part of the message. And I think when we go in here, we should just be able to return the error. And so basically what will happen is if the res comes back and adds a status code of 200 and it was successful, we'll convert it to JSON, and then we'll just do our thing. JSON. Do I even need this JSON? Actually, I think I do. Let's leave it for right now. And then if it fails, it'll throw an error and say that. Okay. And then it'll return the error. And then we take that. And so what comes into here, and we can actually, let's do this just to make sure it still works. So this is going to throw a new error and return. So this will come down, and then we'll take that value, and that value will come in to this next handler. And so we don't need this status stuff at all, but we do want to see what Twitch looks like. Because I think we want to, actually what we need, so this is where we need it. Here is where we need to return an object with two fields. So we're gonna do status, and we're gonna make it the res.status code. And then we're gonna do a body, and that'll be the JSON, the converted JSON. Or wait, oh no, I'm sorry. We're not gonna do this here. We're gonna do this. Do I need this? I don't think I do. Let's see. Res.ok, what's that, Derek? I'm not familiar with that. Oh, fetching broadcast information, requesting token. Let's see. This is returning the JSON. I gotta log that out. Let's see, I gotta log that. And then this is supposed to log that. part of fetch response. So this is like if res.ok. Okay, that's cool. Thanks for that, Derek. I didn't know that. Today I learned. So it'd be if res.ok instead. So I think I just want to throw the error. New error. Give me 1 second here. I need to silence some notifications. Never mind, I'll just leave, whatever. Not worth it. So if res.ok, return res.json, and then this would be return status. See, after I want to be able to return. You have to return a status code and a body. Maybe I don't need to do this here. Because if I return it here, then this should be the response that comes out of this function. So it would either be the error or the JSON itself, I think. This double dot then always confuses me. So let's see. Let's look at the docs here. Response object. Headers. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. This is what Derek is talking about, is that the response comes in and has a .ok field, and it just returns a Boolean whether or not it was within this range. I wish there was like a not okay, which was any code that was not this. That would be cool. JSON return status. So, yeah, so Derek here, this is basically returning the JSON, and then this originally was just returning the object itself. And this is returning an error, but I think that, doesn't this take the status code off of? It like doesn't return the full response. Yeah, it's a body function. Okay. I can just assume that it's, I gotcha. So then I could just do JSON and then say, if it comes back as JSON, then I can assume that it was, a 200. JSON.status, is that what it is? Is there that? Okay, so JSON, error. Sorry, they return that, okay. And if we invoke the function, Yeah, see, Derek, this is what it's a little confusing to me is that there's because the JSON parses the body. Like, I guess I just need to if the error comes back, let's see. So let's do something like this where we remove that so that does error. I want to see what comes back on error. At fetch.then.res. Okay, but it doesn't return us an object. I think I might be doing, so this returns, so if it's okay, else we want to throw an error. This returns the JSON, this returns the, okay. So if it fails, is this a type of, let's see. Switch an object, that doesn't help. Type of Twitch. So of course it's, what if I were to just do this? Res, return res. So if this just returns the res, this returns JSON, this returns an error, then here we should get I want to see if this returns, so this parses off the body, which is strange. Return res. Oh, actually it's I think maybe I'm overthinking all of this. Okay, yeah, so that's what I thought. I don't need this. Maybe I always want to do it. I could return an object and then look at that object and either raise an error or maybe that's what I do. So body. Oops. What is it? I think it's res.status. .status, yes. Okay. Res.status. Else, I think we want to do return res.status. Okay, then down here, when we get that, we say if JSON.status equals 200, else I'm sorry if you can hear that. The fire alarms in my house are going off. So this would be, so I'm checking it like, I feel like I'm checking this too many times, but, so this would be throw new error, and it would be Twitch data.body. This would just return I don't even think I need this stuff down here. Twitch data.body. So I don't think we even need this. Let's just get rid of all of it, because there was really nothing in there. All right, let's look at this one more time. So we don't need this right now. We can just leave it out. Okay, cool. So we make a call to get a token. We get it back and we convert it to JSON. Ooh, so we're gonna need to handle that too. There might be a failure there as well if the token doesn't come back. But I guess that gets handled here. Yes, it does. Actually, is that all we need to do? Maybe we don't need to do any of this down here either. Maybe we just return the Twitch data? Get rid of all this, because if we... Whatever comes back from this function we can return. If converting this into JSON fails, it would get caught down here. I don't know. So we should probably... This probably should be something we update. So right now I'm just gonna do this since we know things are working, but we should probably check the status code. We should probably check the status code, and then this happens on if 200, we'll do these two things, and else we will do, we'll throw a new error. And that thrown error should get caught then by this catch down here, which will just return it. Okay, I think that makes sense. Let's see. So if res.okay, else. So here we would do that. Else, we're going to throw a new error. So this one is the API call failed. This one is actually that the Cannot retrieve access token from Twitch API. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this one more time. So this function that we have is going to make a fetch call. I might want to clean this up because this is less than readable, but we'll deal with that. You know what? Let's just do that right now. Const URL equals, let's just make this that, and then we can just simplify this to be URL. So we are going to make a post call. We're going to get the res back. If it's good, we're going to convert it to JSON and return that, which will come in here. Otherwise, we throw a new error, catch the error, and we return a status code of 422 with the error, right? As the body. Okay, that's cool. Otherwise, if we get the JSON, we come in here, we take the token, and then we call our other function, and we take the return of that and return it. So really all we need to do is return this, right? No, we don't need this. So we're going to await this response from our other function and return it. And then here we're going to take the token. We could also do the same thing here, just to make things simple. So this is API URL. API URL. And then this one, let's just be more semantic, and we call it just URL. This is token URL. And then we'll just paste that here. Cool. So up here, that means we've gotten a token, we pass it in, we log out just for information, and then we make a get call with the bearer token. If that comes back okay, we return. So I think all we need to do here is, let's see. Yeah, I think actually here, we just want to return. We don't need this object anymore. We can just return res.json. Right, that's what we're doing? Yeah, it is. Otherwise, we are going to think we're going to have to throw another error and say, oh, the Twitch API. Okay, so let's try this again. We made a bunch of changes, but I think it'll work. Oh yes, we're not logging anything. Oh yeah, okay, so there's a specific format that you need to return from these Netlify functions, and that's what you see down here. So this is actually going to be body, and we need a status code of 200. So now when we do this, we should see a result. Yep, there it is. Response with status 500. Must have a string body. Okay, so that means we need to stringify. So this is a JSON, so I guess we need to JSON.stringify this. Let's try it again. Cool, it worked. So this is the response. This is the status. Looks like everything works. Oh, thanks, Sid. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's definitely chat soon. And I'm glad you were around for a part where something ended up working. So good luck. Good luck, charm. Have a great weekend and stay safe up there in New York. All right, cool. So now that we know that works, we should probably make a commit before we forget what we're doing. So what's our last log? Add first function. So fix Twitch API function. So we should probably get push origin, set up functions. So then I'll create a Git branch. I should probably open a PR at some point. All right. So does anybody in the chat have any questions about what we did? At one point I was in my own head trying to like figure out what was going on, but I think it's fairly straightforward. The real confusing part, I would say, if you're not like super experienced with JavaScript, is the async stuff, and personally I'm not like amazing with that either, so that's part of the reason I was having a problem here. Okay, cool. So thank you, Insomnia. So what I did to figure out why it wasn't working last time is essentially I went into the docs, the API docs, I opened Insomnia and I started sending requests and seeing like if I could get it to work. Once I was able to get one call to work, take that token and get the other call to work, I knew that we were ready to come back and start working on this. Twitch API, who's using this value? I think, is it only being used down there? Really? Okay, so this variable actually is only used in one function, so let's scope it. Cool. We'll properly yeah, I think so too, Derek. But it's like with the promises, you still need to handle. Well, I mean, it's like a mix here. Like, and maybe I could simplify this, and I'm just like overcomplicating it. But I'm pretty sure this is pretty minimal. I think, but it's really like, you can only use an await in an async function. That sort of makes sense. But then, like, if you have an async function, it returns a promise, and then you either need to handle it or await it. You think so? Can I? I guess this, instead of a dot then, I could do like something with like a wait data. Oh, Angel, we got the function to work. And Derek, maybe what we'll do is maybe on a future stream we'll come back here and clean this code up. So Angel, just to prove that I'm not lying, if we call the function here, we now get back a proper object. And in our Netlify dev server, we got a status 200. And then these are just our like messages. So one thing I want to do is, and this is something I did for my NPM package. This may not be like a best practice, but I think sort of useful. Where is it? Yeah, in my console logs, I was doing this. So Oh, well, it doesn't matter here, actually, because this is for me. But in the package, I like to scope the error. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think we're probably going to stop here because we got it to work. We have the function. And right now, nothing's calling it. But maybe this weekend, depending on how I'm feeling, maybe we'll come back. We'll add this function to my site. And we can actually do that right now. Let's see. Yeah. Just logging into some stuff over here. Give me 1 second. Let's bring that back. All right, cool. So let's look at our, I'm just going to create the pull request because there's nobody else looking at this except me. If you're working on a team or working on open source, don't do that. Bad practice. So what did we do? We updated our get ignore. We added this whole Twitch API thing. This is the new function. Then we added a netlify toml that defines our command, our public function, or our public directory and our functions directory. And then we added some package.json. So yeah, I think this should work. Let's go into our netlify. Yeah, it's me. All right, so we're building. Let's see if our preview builds. If our preview builds and we can go to the site, navigate around and stuff, that means we didn't break anything. Don't think we did. And then that means that now there will be a live, once we merge this in, Netlify will then trigger a production build. It will then deploy the site. The site will be live, and there will be a function that can be invoked to get this Twitch data. And so on another stream, what we'll do is we'll update the package because it's going to need a new API for the component to allow people to pass in an endpoint for Twitch data. So maybe that's what we do. Instead of passing in username, all that stuff for Twitch, all you do is you pass in an endpoint, and the endpoint just sends a request to a web address and gets back an object, and then works based upon that. And the web address that you're hitting is going to be your serverless endpoint. So theoretically that should work. And so maybe we'll try that. Yeah. I still have to figure out like how you target within my Gatsby project. How can I invoke, or where can I find like the public URLs for the functions and stuff like that. So we'll figure that out. But for right now, it seems that this is building. So let's give it a second. And if you're in the stream, you haven't used Netlify, I would imagine a bunch of you have. Highly recommended. I really, really like it. Also, like Zeit, now Vercel has their Now service, which is really cool. Thinking of doing my next project maybe and trying it on there to see just like the difference between the two. All right, let's see. Also hoping to publish I know I've been saying it for like 3 weeks because I stopped publishing articles. Just, everything with coronavirus and stuff was a little bit stressful. So I have a use callback hooks article ready to go pretty much. I just need to refine it, proofread it a couple times, and then just draw up a more robust code sample. But that will sort of complete my hooks series for now, probably. The only other one I was planning on doing was a piece on custom hooks, and I might save that for later because I'm got a little fun project I'm working on, so I might be able to use that as sort of like fodder for the hooks idea, for the custom hooks idea. But there's two other hooks that I wasn't planning on covering, but you know, if for completion's sake, maybe I should. Let's see, hooks at a glance. State hook, effects hooks, rules of hooks, other hooks. Yes. Use context, yeah. Hook API reference. So there's two hooks that I haven't personally used. I also haven't looked into them enough to know if I really want to write another article about them. But use imperative handle and use debug value. Those are two I may add. We'll see. Let's see. Did our preview finish? It did. So let's check out the preview. Looks like everything works. That's great. And if you were on the stream last week, or you've been on the stream in the past, you know that I'm currently working on redesigning this, so it looks bad. I know. Don't be kind in the chat, okay? All right, so that's good. So let's go ahead and let's say, hey, this is a good PR. It passed all of our checks. Merge it. So now that that's merged, let's go back to Netlify. Oh, it seems like the music stopped. Yeah, let's keep going. Oh, Angel. Oh no, potential security risk. That might just be Firefox, let's see. Ooh, Angel, what's going on here? Something with your certs, which is not something I know about. Is this, did you build this yourself? Let's see. See some jQuery. Is it Squarespace? Wix? Something like that? I like how it looks. Yeah, I like that little effect too. Resume. Oh, cool. I think it looks pretty good. I like it. You know what? Sometimes it's like honestly just whatever is the easiest way to get something up. Like I spent a lot of time building my site. I built probably 3 iterations now, and my new redesign that I was working on last week, that's going to require more. I'm going to have to start building more on top of what I currently have, which is like, it's fun. It gives me something to stream. I like to customize it and learn new stuff. But at the same time, in some cases, I find myself, I'm like, I wish I could just throw stuff up and not even care about the site itself. But then we wouldn't have a chance to do fun stuff like, hey, let's just add a serverless function. So now that this is building, I think we should have a function in here when it's done. Yeah, deploy preview number. Let's see. So I think when this is done, maybe there will be one. So deploy 49. Number 49. Yeah. Yeah, see that one has it in there, right? It knows that there's a function. So once this builds, there should be one in here for the master branch as well. Actually, let's go back and look at 49. Let's see. So it shows us the function log. So like nothing's happening right now, but I believe if we were to actually trigger this in production, which I think we can do before we log off for the evening, we can do it from the Netlify CLI. This log would actually start populating. go back here. Let's go back to our overview. Cool. Let's check out our site, see if it still works. It does. Okay, cool. This is not the case anymore. I gotta update that. Okay. Functions. We got a function. Cool. Netlify CLI. I think there's a way to trigger it, not locally. Let's see. So I think if we stop running our local Netlify dev, maybe what it does is it just invokes it based on whether you're running it locally or not. Let's see. Netlify help. And we can actually get rid of this. Netlify functions help. Trigger function while in Netlify dev. I wonder if maybe there's not a way to. Let's see. Yeah, so that, maybe I can't, maybe we can't trigger it. I thought we could. Yeah, Angel, I totally understand that. That's also like when you're interviewing and everyone's saying they want to see your side projects and stuff, and you're like, hey, my side project is I'm trying to find a job right now. Like, I can totally empathize with that. I guess what we can do here is we can just straight up hit this. What? So for some reason, you know what I bet's going on? I bet here in Netlify, it doesn't have access to my Gatsby, my Gatsby environment variables. So I think I need to add those into my Netlify UI. Let's try it. And by let's try it, I mean, I'm gonna do it over here. Let's see, settings. Yeah. Site members, build and deploy. So we have 2 environment variables. I'm also going to need to come over here and do that, but we have the Gatsby Twitch client ID. Whoop. And the Gatsby Twitch client secret. Okay, sorry about that. So now so it might take a while for those environment variables to populate. I'm not sure how long that takes. But we know that this is working. The thing here is it's just an environment variable question. The functions live outside of the context of the Gatsby app itself. So it should be immediate on rebuild. Really? Maybe do I need to trigger rebuild now that I updated the environment variables? Because the last build was triggered. Yeah, okay. So general. Let's go to overview. How do let's see. Okay. So Derek, that's what I'm thinking locally here. We have a set of Gatsby environment variables that I have in my .env file, but the function folder, hey, what's up, Prince? How's it going? But the function folder has this function, which is pulling these because the locally we're picking up on them. So I'm wondering if I needed to put them in the Gatsby or the Netlify UI, but it wasn't working without them, so that's sort of my assumption here. Okay, so Prince, we're working on, we got a function working locally with Netlify dev, and we're deploying a serverless function to handle some Twitch authentication and requests for my live stream package. Yeah, okay, Eco, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, and I don't have an env file. I could put them in the toml, but the toml is something that can't have secrets in it if it's in your Git history. So you manage the environment variables in the UI, right? That's my understanding. We use Netlify. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. All right, let's see. And so Prince, what we're doing right now is we just added some environment variables to the Netlify UI, and we're triggering a rebuild because we want to just hit that endpoint and confirm that it's working. And then if that's the case, we're gonna call it a day. It was a good day, good Friday. And then maybe this weekend or the next couple of days, we'll come back and actually implement the changes in the live stream package. And that Derek's suggestion about doing a Netlify build plugin plus updating the documentation and the actual internal code of the package and then publishing a new version, like that seems like that's a good step to take. I want people to be able to use this. I spent quite a bit of time like researching how to publish and do all that stuff because I'd not done that before. So I want to make sure that work is not for naught and that there's something out there that the community can use. So. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, luckily, so at work, when I joined, the team was pretty small. We implemented like a lot of CI, CD, a lot of tooling, like Prettier, ESLint, TypeScript, like a lot of stuff. So I was involved in all of that, which was really awesome, really fun. But the package work I was doing actually came in use because we actually were trying to update some of how we're building one of our open source drivers, the JavaScript driver, and somebody had requested, the preview even has the package in it. Someone had requested that we support ES module syntax. So luckily I'd been going through a lot of that stuff on the stream, so I was able to pick it up. Let's see if this works. It does. Hey, that's it. We're done for the day. We're not going to do anything more today because we got something to work. That's a rarity. So, Derek, thank you so much for hanging out. Appreciate all the tips. Angel, thanks for hanging out. Glad to see you're still on the grind. Wishing you the best of luck. Prince, thanks for hanging out. of course. Always nice to see you virtually, my friend. I please all stay safe. I know this crazy time. Please take care of each other. Be kind to one another. It's a trying time. And make sure grab yourself a cocktail. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good Friday. Peace.